A major second stimulus package could get revised as the Mainstreet Lending Program comes under fire. Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update for today. And this one is our fourth of four and focuses on the Mainstreet Lending Program. If you are new to this channel, we've been detailing the Mainstreet Lending Program before it was even live, before this channel even existed. And needless to say, today was a big moment. Why? Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, and Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, testified before a congressional committee. During that hearing, they were asked extensively about the Mainstreet Lending Program. And the overriding response that they got about the Mainstreet Lending Program was, no one likes it. It was just universally told to them, no one likes your Mainstreet Lending Program. In fact, Jerome Powell says that very few people have actually applied for it or gotten it, because universally, whether it's lenders or people like you, people don't like it. And Jerome Powell actually said that based upon that response, he's thinking of changing it ASAP. So what's going on and what would get changed and how would it change and what is the Mainstreet Lending Program? Well, if you're new to this channel, let me explain to you what it is. The Mainstreet Lending Program is a loan, not a grant, but a loan underwritten by the Federal Reserve, which would start and give you $250,000 to help your business through this pandemic. Now, you might hear that number, $250,000, and may sound great to you or may sound horrific to you. Well, the people who didn't like the sound of that number certainly spoke up today, and they were members of Congress. And they said to Jerome Powell, in their own respectful way, how dare you come up with such a high base entry amount for a loan? And it was a representative from the Midwest, and he said a lot of business owners or sole proprietors who need loans now during the pandemic need loans, but don't need $250,000, sir. And the question also involved the person saying, how about just a $100,000 loan? Jerome Powell said, we could absolutely do a $100,000 loan. Now, we're not going to do a small micro loan, which I guess he's referring to something Jovita Carranza would do, $2,000 loans or $1,000 loans. But he absolutely said he would drop the Mainstreet Lending Program lower, and certainly seemed to suggest that $100,000 or $150,000 was certainly workable. Why? Because in the same breath, Jerome Powell said no one likes his darn loan. There were several things about the Mainstreet Lending Program that was not liked and was vocalized very well and clear today. First, eligibility. And, it's almost as though you could have given Jerome Powell a copy of this channel's videos and he would have heard this 2 weeks ago, but somehow he's just getting the message now. Everything the viewers of this channel have been saying for 2 weeks, Jerome Powell just finally understood today. First, he didn't comprehend that the applicants aren't excited about it. Why? Because the applicants are sole proprietors as well and nonprofits as well. Well, just a few days ago, unfortunately I missed it, it's not like I can catch every bit of news, Jerome Powell announced that the Mainstreet Lending Program would be open to nonprofits. This is new, this is great news. Jerome Powell left open the suggestion of opening the Mainstreet Lending Program to other groups that are currently excluded. Those, of course, are solo practitioners. Next, the loan amount. As you know, the loan amount has been ridiculously high to start at $250,000, and a lot of viewers said, I don't need that type of money. I just need less money. Well, Jerome Powell said $100,000 is certainly workable. Third, Jerome Powell said that they are constantly making changes to the Mainstreet Lending Program's guidelines and are willing to keep on doing them. So if you have an interest in it, maybe pick up a contact from the Federal Reserve in your local area and contact and say, hey, I need this, but this is not written right. The next part about the Mainstreet Lending Program was how it tacks on to other loans or doesn't tack on to other loans. This is a little complicated, and I don't want to lose you on this. But basically, if you have a mortgage and you wanted to take on this loan and somehow have this loan to help meet your other loan obligations, Many of the mortgages you have out there don't allow you to do that, and if you do try to do it, your mortgage will entirely come due tomorrow morning. It was talked about extensively in this hearing, and it basically said that you can't use Main Street Lending Program's loan as a way to pay off or meet other loan obligations, and Jerome Powell understood that. He also understood he doesn't want to throw debt on top of debt. He also understood that certain industries have clearly not been able to use the Mainstreet Lending Program. He detailed hotels, auto, retail, and commercial real estate have not been able to use the Mainstreet Lending Program. Finally, he detailed the success or lack of success in the Mainstreet Lending Program. He said a mere 300 banks have applied for it. I mean, it's just like, what? That's, what is 300 banks? That's like nothing. He said a mere 300 banks have applied for the Mainstreet Lending Program, and even among them, they're not excited about writing it either. Now, as you know, this channel last week detailed that Jerome Powell said that he had still not written a single loan on the Main Street Lending Program. So ultimately, why am I doing a video on something where banks don't like it, Powell doesn't like it, customers don't like it, it is a stimulus package? Well, the reason why is the following. It's because I have 55 comments from the last second stimulus check video on the Main Street Lending Program from July, I think it was July 6th. I mean, it's been that long ago since I did a Main Street Lending Program. And viewers of this channel were interested in it, but not with the terms that Jerome Powell has. The reason I'm doing this video is simple, that Jerome Powell says it's going to get changed. He wants to hear input on how it's going to get changed. And when it's changed, viewers of the channel may want it. And so I always do things proactively. So let me go back to your comments on the last Main Street Lending Program video, which I did. I think I got like 3,000 views, so it was decently well viewed, but here we go. Tamura says, somebody give LALATE a job with the government. I love you. My number 1,000 is on hold right now. I can't even call every time you suggest you're the best. So she's talking about EIDL. Paul Ryan, as soon as I get the email that I've gone live, I'm going to email my personal banker in my bank to try and start this process. Perfect Body Beauty, finally got my grant for EIDL, still in reconsideration. Serve the Most God in the Vortex, an EIDL question. Jody Fleming, thank you again for your great presentation. There's so much to discover with this program. I hope it's managed as well as the PPP. The PPP didn't pull anyone's credit either. I think this one is written better than all the other ones. The problem is that the loan terms is not attractive at the moment, but they're getting changed. So that's the good news. Amelia, thank you for your hard work, Alex. Now get yourself a cup of cappuccino and make it a venti. You deserve it. Thank you as well. I've been a little under the weather today. I have a problem with my ears, so that's why I'm talking a little bit differently. Rob S., $250,000 minimum loan. Okay, Rob is going to comment about the $250,000 loan. I just need a tractor for my business to fly $10,000 max. Okay, well, Jerome Powell's not going to like you at $10,000. He'll like you at $100,000. He's not going to like you at $10,000. Audra, you're awesome. Well, thank you. Marina, thank you for your help. Wells Fargo is the one I just checked into. I'm checking into Bank of America. Steve Hernandez, thank you for your expertise. Can I still apply for this loan? I have PPP and EIDL. Yes, there's nothing in the loan covenants that prevents you from getting it. PPP is mentioned, but certainly not EIDL. Sandy, I was denied for EIDL. Marcus, could you please do a video on whether sole proprietors without a formal business structure are eligible, or individuals who pass through LLC are eligible? If you have an LLC, you're absolutely eligible. That's clear. I did that video before. Solos, you're not. And certainly that's one of the things that you got to stay on top of, because when I did this video back on July 6th, nonprofits were not eligible as well. And nonprofits were added into eligibility just a few days ago. So the tides are turning, my friend. They're moving very quickly. 3 days. Show us the money. Thank you, LABL. Peter, keep up info on this loan process as you did it with EIDL. You're doing a good job. Well, thank you. I hope you stay interested. Please stay interested. I'll keep on updated daily. I'm certainly happy to do so. Oscar Delgado, great information. Thank you for all the hard work. Audra, do you know who finds the Main Street lenders in Tennessee? Okay, so that was a great question I was answering back in the day. Back in the day, it was back in July. Did I say July 6th? How did I say July 6th? I must have meant June 6th. That's crazy. I just said that. The way you find your Mainstreet Lending Program is these are people who are FDI insured. So if you go into your local bank and you see a little card that the seller says FDI insured, those are the banks that are likely underwriting. If you don't know, if you want more clarity as to who are the 300 sole banks that have been approved, I would call the Federal Reserve of Boston. They are the lead department for the Mainstreet Lending Program. They will answer you pretty quickly. Eva Jean, you're so awesome as always. Is sole proprietor with DBA. Also eligible for this program? No, not yet. Angela, can I apply for my trucking company as an INC with one employee? Yes. Behind the monitor, can I apply as an independent contractor? No. Unless it's an LLC or an Inc. Phil Derrick, do you have to have 5 years to pay back? Do you have 5 years to pay back the $250,000 and it's at one LIBOR and 3 points? Yeah, I think it was 5 years. I haven't gone over the loan terms in a couple of weeks, but yes, it was a couple of years. There was no interest or principal due the first year. I remember that. There was no repayment penalty. I remember that. And it was collateralized because I remember it's called secured. I got into a debate with someone about that. It says in the documents, it says secured. Peggy, oh, it looks like it. Number 6 on the eligibility for Mainstreet Lending Program states you cannot have received any CARES money. I did not see that, but I'd be happy to go over that with you. If you want me to do a terms and conditions video, I'll be happy to do that with you as well. I did a lot on them for the Mainstreet Lending Program. Mary, if you want your $10,000, as you create as much noise as you can, eventually people start to listen to. She's talking about the EIDL grant and Jovita Carranza. I mean, the good thing about the Mainstreet Lending Program is that there's no scars involved. Today has been a lot of activity. Jerome Powell and Steve Mnuchin on the Hill talking about the second stimulus check and all the packages involved. The takeaway was the following, that everything is on the table. So don't think it's one bill and one bill only. Absolutely, categorically not. So whether it's 6 checks of $2,000 into 2021 or until the pandemic settles down or until unemployment improves or extension of FPUC, which was our second video, our third video, or this financial cliff that we're worried about, rent moratoriums and mortgage forbearances all being lifted in late July, all these things kicking in July, a lot of activity is going to percolate. So please like and subscribe to this channel, because when we come into July, which is just days away, it is just going to be bam, bam, bam. It's just going to be second stimulus check stuff every minute from members of Congress, and we will be on top of it as always. As always, stay with LA for more.